For many, the word voodoo brings up images of magical voodoo dolls with pins stuck into them to inflict pain on one's enemies, evil curses, and the resurrection of the dead as zombies. These images are more the result of the misrepresentation of voodoo by Hollywood hype, and do not accurately represent voodoo as understood by its actual practitioners. Voodoo refers to a whole assortment of cultural elements, personal beliefs and practices, including an elaborate system of folks' medical practices, a system of rules passed on through generations, including proverbs, stories, songs, dances, and folklore. Although the exact origins of voodoo are unknown, it is generally agreed that this religion has its roots in West Africa. Modern-day Benin is regarded as the birthplace of this religion, and the name voodoo itself means spirit in the local language. So basically, the term voodoo can be understood to mean something like spiritism. It has been suggested that voodoo in West Africa evolved from the ancient traditions of ancestor worshipping. When African slaves were brought to the Americas to work on plantations, they brought voodoo with them. Their white masters, however, had other plans regarding the religious practices of their slaves. A 1685 law, for instance, prohibited the practice of African religions and required all masters to Christianize their slaves within 8 days of their arrival in Haiti. Although the slaves accepted Roman Catholicism, they did not give up their traditional beliefs either. African slaves were brought to Haiti and New Orleans roughly at the same time, which was in the beginning of the 18th century. However, the development of voodoo practice in each country was quite different. In Haiti, voodoo became the strength and force which gave the slaves the needed courage to sustain them through their hardships and suffering. Between 1791 and 1804, a series of slave revolts inspired by voodoo practices resulted in them overthrowing the French from Haiti. In Benin and Haiti, voodoo is officially recognized as a religion. Voodooists believe in a distant and supreme creator called Bondye, which in French means good God. According to the voodooist, Bondye does not interfere in human affairs, and this is why they direct their worship towards subservient spirits called lougarou. Every lower is responsible for a particular aspect of life. For example, to help them through daily life, voodooists cultivate personal relationships with the lower through presenting offerings, the creation of personal altars and precious objects, and participation in elaborate ceremonies of music, dance, and spirit processions.
Yeah, as I was just telling, my first voodoo experience occurred here in the Dominican. I was married in a full marriage to my girlfriend. She had 2 boys, I had 2 daughters, over in the Samana Peninsula. We were married by the hotel owner, Ronald, a Belgian gentleman, and 2 Haitians. And they built the little dolls, and they put the pins, they gave us the pins and stuff, and if there was a betrayal, we were supposed to pin the voodoo doll, and my wife did betray me, so me and my daughters pinned the voodoo doll. I remember that, but that was almost a joking experience with voodoo. I remarried Diana in Puerto Prince within the year. And upon my return the next year, in 2011, my actual experience with voodoo started, because one evening, the marriage, it just wasn't gelling. So I was sitting outside and I expressed my reservations to the big house we were staying in, the owner. and he got in an argument with Diana's brother. I was kicked out of the house into the streets of Puerto Prince, and a voodoo curse was put on the family by the owner because he was jealous. He wanted me to marry his daughter rather than the woman I married because he felt it would benefit his family, and he thought that his daughter would be better. That voodoo curse, which I didn't really take seriously at the time, just as I didn't take seriously pinning the pins into my wife's doll in Vancouver. Well, it turned out that this was in June, and the Mama Janine, my mother-in-law, was dead by October 16th. They put blood on the house. They repeatedly bloodied the house. They wouldn't allow her to trade in the market. They wouldn't sell her stuff in the market. There's a word for it. She was ostracized. And in some countries, if you're ostracized, it doesn't happen too much anymore. You can still move her, but in Haiti, you're stuck. So maybe they put poison in her food, I don't know, but she was dead. So that was my first experience with voodoo, and it involved the death of the mother-in-law. In Vancouver, when I mentioned this, people would say to me, well, do you believe in voodoo? Almost in a sort of disparaging, it doesn't matter if I believe in voodoo. In Haiti, they believe in voodoo. I would respond with, if you went to Zimbabwe, they don't believe in ice hockey either. They wouldn't know what you're talking about. For them, they're all Catholic, but they're 100% voodoo. But the truth is, voodoo is usually used, from my experience, for evil and to harm someone in your neighborhood you don't like. It's very used to uplift someone. The Haitians aren't the most uplifting people towards anyone else because they're so fucking hungry. They don't want anyone to succeed. They're usually killed if they succeed. So voodoo steps right into that culture perfectly because it's used to people you don't like, and it's serious too because people die from it, like my mother-in-law. My other experience with voodoo was when I took my wife down to the southern tip of Haiti, near the far reaches of the Western Peninsula, to a town called Port Salut. And a gentleman came to our house, which we had on the ocean every day. I didn't know who he was. He was a gay fellow, very nice. He sold hats at the beach, Port Salut, Kai, a big pile of those funny straw hats. Well, I found out from the chief of police, who also visited the house, that this was the chief Hugan for all of southern Haiti. He was the chief voodoo priest. And then when my wife came to Vancouver, voodoo got very personal for me because I found out shortly upon her arrival, after a couple of weeks, that she had betrayed me. So I took the ring off and it was finished. And she told me that after about a week, she told me, Mark, my sister's dead. Her sister had had her arms cut off with a machete in Puerto Prince and died. So I was preparing to send Diana back to Haiti for the funeral when she told me, Mark, my sister is not dead. I go, what? She go, I bring her back to life with voodoo. I go, what the fuck are you, Lazarus? You bringing Jesus back? Was the resurrection? I go, you're bullshitting me. I had the money there for the ticket. So she assaulted me with a knife and had to go to a psychiatric unit in Burnaby. The police took her, 8 police cars, showed up with a SWAT unit, took her to jail, took her to the psychiatric unit. And I was phoned by the chief physician there, which he said, I've never done this before to someone's spouse. We talked for an hour on the phone about voodoo because he said, your wife is either nuts or what she's telling us is the truth. I said, she's telling you the truth. Voodoo, because they haven't heard of voodoo in the doctors in British Columbia. So I had to explain to this doctor what I knew about voodoo. He was astonished because he thought my wife was crazy and all these stories she's telling me. I went into the room where my wife had been sleeping because I wasn't sleeping with her after the betrayal with the police officers that arrived, the 2 cops that were still in their clothes, not the SWAT. They didn't even want to go in there. But we opened the door and went in. All my pictures were broken. My pictures of me were sliced up, and they were put in these brass decorative bowls that my mom had for years, the type you have around your fireplace. We opened up the bed, and there's a bowl full of menstrual blood, or maybe blood that she'd sliced herself because she was cutting herself, and urine. And there was pictures, our wedding pictures were there of my face. That was my next experience with voodoo. But like I always said to Haitians who talked about voodoo with that sinister tone, and as if I was afraid of it, I would say to them, listen, I'm Irish. You know what I do to your voodoo? On it, okay? I could give about your voodoo. I appreciate it for you guys. You know my voodoo? It's fist. Don't with me. So they would laugh at me, but I realized voodoo's deadly serious, and it did intimidate me and those police officers. But the way I feel about voodoo, it. But don't say that in Haiti, because for Haitians, it's 100% real. Voodoo was the one unifying factor, along with their secretive language, Haitian Creole, which separated them. Well, they're already separated. They were slaves from the French, the slave owners. Their language is a secretive language. It has no gender, so the French couldn't understand who they were pointing out. And voodoo unified the disparate tribes that came from the hinterlands of West Africa and were brought to Haiti. These people didn't know each other. They didn't like each other. They were different tribes, so they didn't have any way of communicating. They had different languages, but they could communicate through voodoo, and they could communicate through the drumming. And the French made the mistake of allowing Sundays to be the dance and the drum day, but it wasn't a dance and a drum day. It was the voodoo. And the tribes got together with their voodoo, and the idea of the revolt came to them through a Jamaican bookman that came there, and Toussaint Louverture, and then the voodoo flourished, and that's what allowed them to be a cohesive force against the French slave owners. So voodoo to the Haitians is very important, and within their culture, it's the most important part of Haitian culture. I look at it as a beautiful aspect of it. It's spooky. It's scary. It's odd. It separates voodoo from Haiti from all other countries, because they still have voodoo in Brazil to a degree in other countries, but not like Haiti. In those other countries, it's almost a periphery, but in Haiti, it's the prime experience of those people. You can see it in Haitians' eyes. If you live there, you can see the voodoo resonating in their eyes. Not all of them believe in it. There's many Christians there that I go to church with that I can't think of the word right now, that push voodoo away and they don't want it. But in most people, it's dear to their heart, because like you mentioned, it allows them to be the bully or to exact revenge on someone, sort of like the mafiosi in Sicily. They can be a vengeful people in Haiti, because they still live in basically a concentration camp there. They're free, but they've never been freed from the idea of slavery in their heads. And voodoo allows them to punish the people around them in a way that, well, sometimes unspeakable ways. But I probably wouldn't be saying this if I was back in Haiti and Puerto Prince, because it does scare me a little bit when I'm in that country, because I've had death threats on me from family members and from other people. My wife threatened to kill my kids, and so Haiti has dangers to it. But voodoo is one of the attractions, I think, of Haiti for people that are curious.
Folks, in case you haven't, click the subscribe button and make sure you tick the notification bell to make sure you get all my new releases. Now let's get back to the video. The more sensational aspect of voodoo, such as beliefs in zombies, have provided fodder for countless of television shows and movies in the form of voodoo. Zombies are an especially good example of how a religious element can be taken out of context and become a global phenomenon. The original Haitian zombies, however, were not villains, but victims, as Haitian zombies were said to be people brought back from the dead and sometimes controlled through magical means, including hallucinogenic mixtures by priests called Brgds. And sometimes the zombifications were done as punishment to strike fear into those who believed that they could be abused even after death. And often these zombies were said to have been used as slave labor on the island's farms and sugarcane plantations. Yet, no evidence of these zombie-filled farms was ever found. Brgds, the voodoo sorceress, openly practiced zombification, and even though only a few Haitians claim to have ever met a zombie, all the same, most of them believe they actually exist. The Brgds' power to make zombies is used more often as a threat to maintain social order, and only rarely will he actually go through with the act of taking a soul. The stories are told with laughter as much as with seriousness, and still today the zombie phenomenon remains an image in the Haitian folk tales. Another interesting phenomenon connected with Haitian voodoo is their werewolf. Haitians call their werewolf the rouges, or red eyes, as well as referring to it as the French or Creole pronunciation Loup Garou. In Haitian folklore, these sinister creatures are said to be either powerful shape-shifting sorcerers wearing magical animal skins, or people possessed by nefarious spirits which can twist and transform their bodies into a wide range of animals such as wolves, dogs, cats, eagles, lizards, snakes, and even chicken. And many Haitians truly believe that these creatures actually exist, and they claim to have seen them prowling about on different occasions. This belief can be so strong that strange deaths are sometimes blamed on these creatures, and suspicious people can be accused of being a rouge and lynched by frightened villagers. Some Haitians believe that the werewolves are the specific people who practice any of the evil voodoo and who wear the skin of an animal and then choose to kill someone during the night.
Loup Garou
It's
is
like a Haitian werewolf.
yes, sir.
Has that got anything to do with voodoo?
They come at night. It's a branch of it because it's still the same thing. You know, voodoo, you could use voodoo in different ways.
But what is Haitians turn into werewolves or?
Yes, at nighttime. At nighttime. Once you get 1 o'clock, certain place, and you could bump here with that type of people.
The sad fact is that in the wake of the 2010 earthquake, many instances of kidnapping and child smuggling skyrocketed in this impoverished and disaster-ravaged nation, where thousands of children were left homeless or orphaned by this nasty calamity. And most of these were carried out by roving local gangs looking to sell the children into slavery for a profit. However, the Haitian people instead talked about lougarous to give a name to their affairs, when in reality it was child snatchers and not evil spirits who actually kidnapped them. Following the earthquake, there were also verbal and physical attacks against the voodoo practitioners, perpetuated by those who felt that the voodooists were partially responsible for the natural disaster. Furthermore, during a cholera outbreak, also in 2010, several voodoo priests were lynched by mobs who believed that they were actually responsible for spreading the disease. Nowadays in Haiti you can also attend an annual voodoo festival of Fete Gede. It happens on the 1st and 2nd day of November in Puerto Prince. And in many ways, Fete Gede is like Mexico's Day of the Dead. And believers converge on the capital's main cemetery and lay out gifts like flowers, candles and rum as a way of giving thanks to the ancestral spirits for the luck that they have brought throughout the previous year. The rituals performed during Fete Gede are not for the faint-hearted. Singing, dancing and drinking are accompanied by animal sacrifices, various offerings, and the display of being possessed by the spirits. The Fete Gede is also associated with fertility, so the festival also features promiscuous dancing and simulating sexual intercourse. Ville-Bonheur and the nearby waterfall Vodou became the focus of Haiti's largest voodoo pilgrimage, which happens every year, July the 16th. The area holds cultural significance in Haiti to both Catholic and voodoo practitioners. And in the 19th century, it's believed that the Virgin Mary of Mount Carmel appeared there on a palm tree. Voodoo believers go there to cleanse their soul by bathing in the waters of the falls and asking favors of the Virgin. In some cultures, what we consider to be myth, legend and magic is to them a reality of life, and perhaps always will be.
So in which way did they use voodoo to revolt against the French?
Well, we use our voodoo to unite it, all us together, to put our head together, because l'union fait la force, he said on the flag. Unity is the power. So once we put that unity, we sacrifice what we had to sacrifice, and that's how we fought to the French, and we kicked the French out of Haiti.
So that basically gave common motivation amongst all the Haitians,
yes,
to
correct.
believe we can beat the crap out of them.
Yes, and we did beat the crap out of them. 1803, we got our independence. We was the first black republic, and back in the day, the French was the superpower.
Okay, let's get back to the voodoo. That's congratulations on your win back then. Just sad that it's gone downhill in many other ways since then. But voodoo, what have you seen? Has something happened to family members or yourself?
My mom passed away. My grandma passed away. They told me because of voodoo. My grandma, they put something on the chair for my grandma. She went and sit down on the chair. That's how she got sick. And my mom, from what I heard, they sent a sickness on her to make her like seem like she got AIDS, and then they kill her. But that was through voodoo that both of them died.
Sometimes I used to see some people that kill some chickens and then some pigs, and then to make some sacrifice on the road.
On wood.
On wood, but they just do a lot of stuff, and then to talk with some spirit, and then.
So it's associated somehow with some kind of ceremony they do.
Some kind of ceremony.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of actions would they do during that ceremony that would inflict pain on somebody else?
They dance, and then they dance, they like fire, and then sometimes they shaking their feet in the fire, and then something like that.
Vodou is a culture, like from Haiti, but it's not really from Haiti, from Africa to Haiti, because Haitian people from Africa back in the days, right? But Vodou is like a religion for Haitian people, right? Since time we born, we heard about Vodou, and we still talking about Vodou, and Vodou we're gonna still be here.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this documentary, and I really hope you enjoyed the content. Now, if you're coming down here, remember there's tour guides both in Haiti and Dominican Republic. I have the number of them, so you can contact me to go around and see these wonderful places. Also, if you're relocating, I run a consultancy service for that, because an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, and you don't want to fall into some of the pitfalls and spend tens of thousands of unnecessary money. So send me an email on the address seen below if you're keen, and I'll send you my price plan. Again, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.